Hi everyone, I'm doing my John Maxwell. I've had a lovely day today. I went out for a walk. The sun has been coming out in and out, so it hasn't been consistent, but I went for a lovely 1 hour walk. I came back, I got my swim in, and when I moved in here, we didn't have all these amenities, the gym and the pool and all that. But after I was here for about a year, they sent a message saying, oh, we're opening all this. So I was quite surprised, and it saves me a gym membership, so I like to use everything. And I'm very fortunate in that way. I know I'll never be out on the street. I've got very good friends, not only here, but in Holland, in Australia, in South Africa. I've got a lot of people who have told me, you don't ever have to worry about being on the street. If things don't work out, you come home being South Africa, and we'll see what we can do. So I'm very blessed in that way. I haven't had a good experience in Canada because I hate having to take money from people. When the idea when you go to university or when you get a trade, whatever it is, whether it's as a mechanic or a teacher or as an executive assistant, the idea is that you get that profession and then you work and you earn your own living. So, I really don't blame my uncles for not wanting to help me, for telling me they don't know what I'm going to do. I don't blame them because it's not their responsibility. Whatever they did for me is good and I appreciate it. But I don't expect them to help me. Whatever they did for me, and even my mother, every time she sends me money, she makes sure that she emphasizes that this is a sacrifice for her. And she's also got to take multivitamins and they're expensive, and it's very, very hard for her to give me that money. So it's, you feel very bad. Once you're 18 and you're out of your parents' house, nobody wants to be in the position I'm in. But unfortunately, that's been my lot in life. And I'm fortunate in that the people around me enjoy me, especially the people at my church. Many of them know that I'm a spiritual director. And if they see me, even if they see me going for a walk, they'll stop me and they'll say, can you say a prayer for me when you go home or when you go to the church? So I enjoy them and they enjoy me. And that's one of the good things about living in Toronto. At least for me, people have been friendly. I know my neighbors. I know, people in the buildings that I've lived in. So I've been here for a long time, and my feeling is that it's time to move on. Maybe I'll get a job in Dubai or in Holland or somewhere else, because I feel like I've done as much as I can here, and it hasn't worked out for me. It hasn't worked out I've always applied. When TD laid me off, they didn't have a position for me. And I've always applied to try to get that kind of a position that I had, where I was supporting Jean de Gagne and his leadership team. And I used to go to all the leadership meetings. I used to go to the succession planning. I went to all of his events. When he had his Christmas parties, he never left me out. And I was single, and all of them had partners. So they were so considerate of me. They never used to bring their partners. I used to tell them, bring your partners, bring your wives and your husbands and whoever. But they were very considerate of me. They always included me in everything. So unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. And I'm trying to get, something else for myself. And I mean, when you can't even get a job filling envelopes or doing something like that, you must know that, things are really bad, because your degrees and your qualifications are an asset. They're not something negative. They're an asset to the organization. And it's not something that people should be intimidated by. So anyway, it's a different kettle of fish here, but that's how it goes. And for Maxwell speakers, I guess, it depends on the speaking that you do, because they earn, for each speaking engagement, you earn around $3,000 just to go there to speak. And then your workshops and everything, there's a schedule of how they set it up. So for me, I don't have any paid partnerships right now. But if they do come up, of course, that would be another option for me, whether it's in here or in England or somewhere else. And the experience I've gone through in Canada with women being forced to get psychiatric assessments, being forced to take treatment, it's not something unique to me. There are many, many people that go through it in Canada. There's even been documentaries made on the Fifth Estate about how they've treated people in this country. And it's all races. It's not just Indians. The white women have gone through it. Sometimes it's politics involved. Sometimes it's people's families involved. So it's quite sad. I mean, you think you're making progress, and then until it happens to you, you don't know how it feels like. But it's really bad. I mean, it's really bad in Canada. Even the police told me, you're not the only one that goes through it. They said it's very, very bad. It's very common. It's more common than you think. And even my friends that I talk to in other parts of the world, in Holland, they also tell me how their friends got taken by force to have the psychiatric assessments done, and how they took them by force and they made them stay in those hospitals for some time, 1 month or 3 months, and it's horrific. It's really, really horrific. Women get sterilized without their consent, like that blood, AIDS, infected blood that they put into people. I mean, it's our lives at the end of the day. So it's quite sad to see. I mean, people can say, oh, yeah, you have a complex, but if it was only happening to me, it would be different, but it's not only happening to me. It's happened to so many people that it's really awful. But we can only do what we can do. I was fortunate that Dr. Zaretsky gave me a choice, and he asked me, are you going to be okay? And I said, yes, I'll be okay. So I wasn't forced to take the medication or to go and live in Sunnybrook. Because sometimes, and even the police told me this, sometimes when they take you there, they start with one thing and then they escalate the treatment. And they can give you electric shocks, they can do all sorts of things. And even family friends that I know that have been here, who have gone through depression, even they've told me that they were saying, like, if the medication doesn't work on them, they're going to start with electric shocks. And I was shocked. I was completely shocked. So it's not only happening to me, it's happening to many women and men, and it's very sad. It's very sad. I know for me, like black pepper, I use spices, I use black pepper, all those things help to alleviate depression, because it's very, very hard when you go through something like this. And especially if you're willing to work and able to work and you can't get anything, not even a retail job. I mean, it's really bad. But anyway, I've made it this far, and I believe I can accomplish more and things can change for me and work out for me. I was fortunate I had the support of the church to get counseling, because even the counseling here, there are waiting lists of 2 to 3 years to see somebody. So that support has helped me a lot. And that's why when we are following leaders, we need to also think about who we are following. When I've met people and I've mentored ladies who have gone through this, and they've shared with me their own journeys of how their husbands used to call them fat, say, oh, look at you, I hate coming home to you. Oh, look at what you look like, I'm going to find somebody else. I mean, all that psychological damage, it takes a toll on people. And with the men, they get the favor, so the women end up suffering. And it's sad. But I've helped many women like that I've connected them to employment agencies, I've shared with them how to adjust to Canada, And so I'm paying it forward in my own way. I'm trying to help others. And I don't get any money out of the mentoring that I do, just like I don't get any money out of these talks. I'm doing them because what's the point? If you have the knowledge, you might as well share it. And hopefully that will lead to something paid for me, because I don't want to continue earning minimum wage and I don't want to continue being unemployed. And if it means leaving Canada, I will happily do that. So today is day 3 of this John Maxwell. Good followership is a prerequisite for good leadership. So when people have to be open to listening to you, to learning from you, and to taking on board what you're saying and then making their own decision. And John Maxwell provides the example here of Elijah when he selected Elijah and he was still king. So he was under him as a protege, learning from him, learning the skills, learning what he had to do. And he remained loyal to him. He sought him out when he had problems, and as a result, God blessed him and blessed his life. And I can say the same thing for the people I've mentored. God has blessed their lives. They have good jobs. They're providing for their families. They have good incomes. Why I can't get into that, why there's a block, I really do not know. And then the third point, Elijah developed discernment to sense when God was moving. So how do you tell when God is moving? Basically, John Maxwell is saying that he learned from Elijah. So Elijah had trained him, and that's how he came to know which is the path to take, which is the right way to go. And then when he got into that leadership position, then he was prepared. And there's a separation from the crowd. So often you'll find that when you're set up for leadership, you might not be going in the same direction as everybody else. So the leadership comes when the protege and the person that's doing the mentoring or the coaching develop a good relationship, and they come together, they build a close relationship, and there's an accountability partnership, so to speak, that's set up. And then the power of God became evident. So over time, there are acts that Elisha carried out. There are acts in the Bible that give examples of how people came to respect him. And he gives the example of Elijah dividing the waters of the river Jordan. That's something that you see with Moses as well, dividing of the waters. And it's something that they had the power to do through God working through them. And the miracles are recorded for us in the Bible. So if we are mentoring and developing others, then we have to also try to set a good example for them so that they can follow us and they can look up to us and see the path we took and then learn from us. And we need to stay with our leaders. So for me, when I got laid off from TD Securities, I didn't really have a choice. I wanted to stay with that leadership team. I wanted to continue to learn from them, continue to work with them, but they basically said, no, this is like a new leader coming in. There are new structures being put into place, and we don't have that opportunity available. We've tried to find you something else, and there's nothing. So then you left on your own. And then if you're going like me from contract to contract, you're not developing a solid relationship with any one person because you're moving around from place to place. You're putting in your effort, yes, and you're helping those companies. But who is mentoring you and who is there to help you? Nobody. So you have to do what I did. You have to turn to books. You have to turn to community organizations. In the church, I'm fortunate because in the church, I've been with Father Larry from 2007. So in that way, I learn from them. I watch the priests. I watch how to help. And I get involved where they need me. But in my corporate life, I haven't had any solid relationship from the time that I've left TD. And then at Teleperformance, I only had this last 5 years. So who knows where I'm going to land next. And then I'll have to start again, building the relationships, building the partnerships. So that's why it has been so hard for me, because normally people get into a company and they stay with that company. And that's how you form the relationships. That's how you stay with people. You learn from them. And you're not always like a boat tossed on the waves, going from one place to the other place with no guidance. The only guidance I have is my Bible, reading my Bible, and picking up books like this for John Maxwell, leadership books, reading autobiographies. That's how I learn from what other people have gone through, because I have not had that stability in my career in Canada. So basically, he's just confirming that when you stay with that leader, you come under the umbrella, so to speak. And if it's somebody that's a Christian, you will benefit from the anointing and from God working in their life. And you will receive God's favor through that. If you come out of it too soon, then you may miss the best that God has for you. So, I mean, when I left TD, it was very sad. Everybody cried, including the executives I supported. And it was the same thing now with Teleperformance, and when I've been laid off. My managers were upset because they know that I'm good. They know I work hard. They know I understand the culture. But if there's nothing there, there's nothing there, then I have to move on. And so I have to try to find now that management position, that next position, and hopefully a good paying job. Because when I went into Teleperformance, I went in at minimum wage. And I thought, okay, you know what, I'll be promoted, I'll come up. But it didn't happen for me. And it's not like my managers didn't put my name forward. They did. But it didn't happen for me. So it's a very scary feeling to be living off debt and to not have an income and to not know where your next opportunity is going to come from. But all I can do is apply, and I can let people know that I'm looking, reach out to my network, and hopefully sooner rather than later something will open up for me. Because I don't understand how I can't even get a job in retail, not even at Walmart or Marshalls or Winners or the grocery store. I can't even get that. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I don't know why it's not working out for me, but I'll keep applying. I'll keep putting my best foot forward, keep being a good example for others, and hopefully sooner rather than later something will fall into place for me. And then the question you can take away today from this is, are you learning all you can from a good leader? And that's something that we can reflect on. Whether it's the people around you in your community, in your country where you are, or if you're a new immigrant, maybe it's your pastor in your church. Like people have told me, things are coordinated in Canada. Whatever job you get, whether it's through the recruitment firms or through the church, it's coordinated, and then they move people around. So if people are not able to get that support for me, to get me into one of the banks or one of the healthcare institutions or somewhere, it becomes very, very hard, because I know people put my name forward and I know they recommend me highly, but there's all kinds of relationships that people have in different companies, in the churches, all over. So all I can do is hope and pray and keep doing the right things. But it's very hard when you plant seeds of good seeds and you always get sour grapes. It's very, very hard. So let's see, I'll keep trying, keep hoping. Even there's people that I worked with on the boards at Greenwich City, at Wildlife Preservation Canada, even they have sent me jobs. They've tried to refer me to people, but for some reason, I just don't seem to get anything. So it's very, very hard. But I hope that talk helps you. And if you do have opportunities for me in administration, I am looking for a day shift and I am praying. And I'd like to thank anybody that's praying for me as well. Because, nobody likes taking other people's money. They're working for it, or they worked for it and they earned their money. And then here's me sitting at home trying to get anything I can that will allow me to live a good life and to buy a car, buy a home, and I can't get anything. So it's very, very unfortunate and it's very sad because, you feel I don't know about other people, but I feel very bad. And even if people tell you you don't want that money back, as a responsible woman, you just think, you know what, I just want to give you your money back, because every time I hear from you or every time you do something, I have to hear about how nice the person was. Oh, look what they did for you because they're such nice people. And what are you doing? You're sitting at home. So, it's not a nice feeling. And I did a lot for people too, people that have helped me. So, it's sometimes when you give to people, you have to also realize that people have done a lot for you as well. And that's the circle of life. Hopefully my time will come. But it's been hard for me. It's been hard to mentor people, watch them go into vice president roles, director roles, and I'm sitting in minimum wage. And it's my advice, my guidance, my mentoring that has led to them doing so well. So it's very hard. But I count my blessings and I move forward and I hope that better things are on their way for me.